Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
All right, next up on Atlanta Business Radio this morning, we have with us the president, the grand poobah, the big boss of Sulky of America, Inc., Mr. Jason Prater. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fabulous today. How are you?
I'm doing well. What'd you learn in that last segment?
Man, I need to call my pest guy.
I need to call my training guy.
Yeah,
That's
really?
what I got to call.
You don't have to call anybody. I'll come over after this. I'll take care of it. No worries.
He can do both, right? Kill your bugs during the day and train
train
your
yourself,
salespeople
guy.
at night.
Exactly. I need it. I'm about to head to a trade show, so I need some extra help.
All right, so tell us a little bit about Sulky. What are you out there trying to do for folks?
Well, we are a manufacturer of decorative threads, stabilizers, a line of educational books and products to help home sewers, embroiderers, quilters, people that do needlepoint.
You don't look like a needle pointer. I got to be honest.
How long you been doing that?
I know. This is my 20th year in the business.
Get out of here.
I'm
Wow.
serious. Yeah. I started out with the company 1994 working in the warehouse. And so I worked my way through. I was lucky enough to work for sort of an icon in the business who took me under his wing and helped develop me as sort of a mentor-protege relationship.
And then you ditched him and started your own thing.
I'm a pretty loyal guy, so I stuck around. He helped put me through school and got my degree from Kennesaw State. And,
wow.
Just kind of grew in the business and learned from one of the best in it, somebody who's very recognizable in the business.
Sulky, was that their name? Or was that the...
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. The name Sulky, our partner is a German company, and they had a line of products, and one of their brand names for one of their top line threads was Sulky. And they came about that in a weird way. They were rayon thread is our biggest seller, and it's our primary product, and it was their primary product, and it's how we got into this entire market. And they wanted to call it Silky, but they wanted to trademark that name.
the word silky. Yeah. And they couldn't do it.
And they couldn't do it. It was because rayon was developed to try to imitate silk. They wanted to give that name. They couldn't do it. So they're in Germany, right? They dropped one letter and called it Sulky. And when we started a partnership with them, we ended up calling the business Sulky because of the recognition of that brand.
So we were talking about trade shows, associations, that kind of thing. In our last segment, tell us about this TNNA.
Yeah, that is the National Needlearts Association, and they're getting ready to have a little show.
There's an association for everything, isn't there?
Apparently, there is an association for everything. It's sort of a subset of the craft hobby industry, which is a pretty good-sized business in the United States, about $9 billion a year industry.
Wow.
That's inclusive of paper crafts and floral crafts and all sorts of other crafts, but the National Needlearts Association is knitting, crochet, hand embroidery, needlepoint that you said your sister-in-laws do.
Is that a popular hobby?
It's a pretty popular hobby, yeah. It's an interesting hobby in that the demographic for it seems to stay relatively the same. It's usually affluent people that are in their 50s or 60s that have the time and the money to spend on their hobby. These people spend a lot of money on their hobby.
Do they do it as an artist, or are they doing it as kind of a meditative relaxation?
A little bit of both. A lot of people, I think, do this hobby to express themselves creatively, but a lot of people do it just to avoid the idle hands, the devil's work, you know.
Right.
And, it's one of the reasons that I'm in this business or have stayed in this business is because we sell a product that people primarily want. It's not something that they have to have. They seek it out, and they get enjoyment from what
Well, I'll tell you,
doing.
my sister-in-law, Sandy, we just had Christmas, of course. We're the Christmas house. So all the sister-in-laws, husbands, ex-husbands, they all descend on us for 2 or 3 weeks. And Aunt Sandy sits under the Dazor light, and she's got 5 or 6 projects going at a time, and she will work for months on these different projects, and then she'll give them away. Sometimes she donates things to the church for charity, or that will be a Christmas present next year or 2 years later for one of the sisters. And I do think she finds it incredibly relaxing in front of the fire, watching football and doing her. I mean, it's a real source of pleasure for her.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people if we could bottle up that feeling that a person gets when they make something with their own hands and gives it away, or when they make something with their own hands and decorate their home with it, and somebody walks in and says, "That is fabulous," or "Thank you so much for that gift. I know you spent 25 hours of your time making it." If we could bottle that up, that's what we're selling. We're selling that sense of accomplishment, that sense of pride that people get from doing this and then giving it away or displaying it or something like that. So it's a pretty interesting thing.
Okay, but just to be clear, Sandy actually is not buying directly from you. She's going to her favorite craft store.
Like she'll go to Michael's, right?
That's correct. There are a lot of big players out there: Joann stores, Michael's, Hobby Lobby,
and you're serving them.
We are serving them and a host of independent retailers too.
Okay.
A lot of folks don't really realize that, but this business is made up primarily of independent retailers. There are tons of fabric shops, knit shops, yarn shops, and they really are the influencers in this world, if you will. They sort of drive the market. Even though the big guys are selling most of the product, the learning and the educating, the inspiring is happening at the local retailer.
Because they're more hands-on and they'll spend time with the new person and kind of show them the ropes and teach them and stuff.
Just like us, they're small business owners, and they have a vested interest in what it is they're trying to sell. So when someone walks in their door, they want to help that person. They want to get that person inspired. They want to get them coming back to that store. They offer classes. Education is a big part of the business, a big part of our business as well.
Really? So you give them the tools to educate their customer.
Absolutely. It's one of the reasons we self-publish. We're on our 22nd book title, a line of educational books intended to help people be inspired and to learn new techniques, but also primarily to help the retailer sell our products, which is why we self-publish them, because we can be very specific. We can call out our product by name by brand, whereas when you work with a publisher, you can't do that.
Can you white label your book for them where they can put their name on it? And
we don't typically do that. Yeah, no, not at all. Our brand name is all over it. Like our newest title is called "Embellish Your Life with Sulky," and it's
well, we may be bumping up against the answer to this, but I got to tell you, I can almost get my arms around differentiating pest control because I can identify with concepts like protecting and strengthening your brand and being that one person you could call at 2:00 in the morning and we're going to solve your problem and all that. But I got to tell you, at first blush, it seems like it would be very difficult to create distinct competitive advantage for thread. So maybe this publishing is one piece of the answer?
Yeah, that is definitely one part of it. This is a very social industry. And social media is becoming more and more important for everyone in our business because the consumer is very, very touchy-feely. They're very hands-on. This is, again, something that they love to do, and they want to feel like you're their friend. They want to feel like you're helping them along their journey, and so that is becoming a more important tool, just connecting with them in that fashion. So the person who can do that best garners a little advantage. Certainly educating and helping the retailer sell your product is a huge advantage, and something that Fred Drexler is the founder of the company. He's pioneered that, really going out. Literally, we go into retail stores and teach classes for that retailer on their behalf to drive customers into the store. So that is one of the things that we do to help get that advantage. And we continue to sell a really high-quality product. All of our products are made in Europe by our partner company in Germany, whereas a lot of the competitors have gone to the Far East, going looking for cheaper things, and they are cheaper things. So we continue to try to maintain that.
So you're differentiating by quality and also the support materials.
Absolutely.
And then helping the retailer build relationships with their clients. You're taking some of that role for them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what
you have to.
You have to. So now when you go to that, you said it was a trade show, I think, that the people walking the floor are the mom and pop retailers?
Yeah, at this particular show, that's correct. We just came from the Craft Hobby Association.
So sometimes you go to shows where the people walking around are the consumer.
Yes.
But sometimes you go where it's the retailer. Those are two different objectives, though, right?
Absolutely. We do 26 events a year, what we call consumer shows. Those happen in convention facilities. Usually there's one across town in Duluth every year, and there's one
and these are people that are hobbyists. They're the ones who actually are doing the knitting and the needlepoint.
Yes, and in those shows we do sell product, so that we can help the local retailers in that area get the word out about our product. So we go there and we sell products.
But that's a branding objective for you guys there.
It is totally a branding objective.
Right, so they think like when they go into a store, they go, where's the Sulky stuff? Right? That's what you want, right?
Yeah, we teach classes there. We've got 8 national educators that travel the country teaching inside stores, but also teaching at these consumer shows. So many of these consumer shows are class-oriented. So consumers go there, they take class.
And guess what thread they're using?
They're using Sulky thread. Exactly. When they walk out of the classroom, they say, I got to have the
Sulky
stuff that she just taught me how to do. And they go to the booth and they buy the product.
And ask for it by name. Right.
And ask for it by name.
But now So that's 26 shows. That's every other week, right? Like
That's
that's
correct.
happening just all over the place
Man,
all
your
the
feet
time.
must be tired.
Yeah, I don't personally do those. We have a team of
team of-
educators that do those, and they're very good at it.
But another side of the business is the retail side. Is
Right.
that every other week too, or that's a different rhythm?
The trade side of it, we do, depending on the year, 8 to 10 trade events a year.
Oh, so there's that many. So this is happening all over the place. You got
It
is.
is.
Is this your primary way to market? It seems like every other week you're doing the education. Then what's that? Almost every month you're doing the trade side.
It is. As a small organization, we don't have a large sales force on the ground, so we're not out beating the pavement going into retail stores.
Like
we depend on
the Oregon's doing with. They got feet on the street everywhere.
That's right.
You
No.
guys don't have that.
We meet them face to face in
in
trade
the trade
events.
environment.
Yeah. Most of those retailers too, they don't have the time. They're small business owners. They
Right.
don't have the time to spend with 25 different sales guys coming to them all the time. So they'll
Sure.
take a weekend, go to a trade show, and hit up all the different places,
Right.
learn what's new, what's the new products that are coming out.
And so those shows are regional, I guess. So there are, because if there's 8 to 10 of them, are they happening around the country and you're just rotating through?
Sort of. It depends on the market. The Needlearts market's one segment. We also service the quilting market, which incorporates primarily fabric. And they have 2 large events a year.
Oh.
Then we also service the Craft Hobby Association, which
Man.
is another really, really big show.
So I'm all into this because
It's-
for our listeners that don't know, Aunt Mary is the quilter and the quilting judge. So I mean, I get
That's
it.
different, right? That's a different
total-
person.
whole
That's a
nother deal.
completely different person. They spend an enormous amount of money on their hobby. It's a $6 billion a year industry, quilting is.
Wow.
It's
That's
pretty
what's
substantial.
fascinating about our job. Like
I know. Who knew?
you just don't realize the scale of some of these things.
I don't know if you've ever been to the Jar Jar Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas. It's a very large convention facility. The annual show there takes the entire facility, and then they hold a consumer event directly afterward with 50,000 people that come through the door. So it's a pretty major event.
So where's all this headed? What's the future hold for this arena?
Well, everyone is interested in trying to reach the next generation. You're
always trying to get younger.
Absolutely. Everyone is always talking about that. And I talk to a lot of people in the industry, and I've served on boards with various people, particularly the sewing machine companies and their heads. They're all
Right.
worried about selling machines because we sell a consumable product, but they sell a tool. They sell things that people buy and hold on to for 10 or 15 years.
Right.
So they have a larger interest in reaching those younger people. And I think the reality of it is our demographic doesn't change that much. It always stays relatively the same. And I've said it earlier, and it's because the person who does it has the money to do it. The top-end sewing machine today now sells for like $15,000.
Wow.
So they got to have the money to do it, and they got to have the time to do it. And trying to get a younger woman who's got young children or a younger man who's trying to raise a family is very difficult to compete with all of the other leisure time activities
Sure.
that they have.
Now,
So-
what about like shows like Project Runway where the people see like sewing and art and fashion and stuff? Is that an entry point for you
That
guys?
has definitely brought more interest from the younger crowd into sewing as a very small piece of it.
Right, but at
there's-
least it's opening their mind to that, though.
It is, and it's allowing us those branding instances
Right.
to get our brand in front of them, so that day comes and they do
Right.
have the
When they're
time
ready,
and the money.
then they
will know
remember
who
you
we
guys.
are. And there are a lot of children's programs that are also dedicated for making that happen,
Mm-hmm.
so that home ec, they've cut that out of schools. They
Right.
don't really have home ec programs anymore. But here and there, you do find pockets of it. Certainly in Middle America, you find a lot of 4-H programs. Still.
What about like homeschooling? Is
Girl
there-
Scouts, homeschooling
Uh-huh.
associations? All of those places are places where we can meet that consumer well before they become our consumer.
Right. You're investing in them.
We are definitely investing in them. We help a lot of guilds. The quilt market and the sewing market is full of guilds, people that meet outside the home,
Right.
and just discuss their hobby with one another and share their learnings and share their teachings. Those people do a great outreach to young people, and so we help those people by offering donations for their events, sending literature and other products into their events, and we also hold educational events for guilds. So when a guild is having their monthly meeting, we may send our educator in there to teach a class,
Right.
and then they take that information and
And
share
is
it
that
with
something
other
like
people.
that's a no charge thing you do?
That is a no charge thing that we
Wow.
do, not the event.
Right.
The events are not, but supplying product and things.
And the
is.
educators, that's part of you supporting the community because that's important, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we just finished up a new training with them. When we publish a new book, it has puts a whole bunch of new techniques in it, and we train our educators for a week, and now they're ready to go out and teach classes based on those various things, and then we offer those to guilds, we offer those to stores, we teach them at consumer shows, we teach them at our own standalone events.
Right. Because like Todd was saying earlier about you have to be good stewards to the community.
Yes.
You know, you have to share your knowledge. That's part of just being a good citizen.
And that's a big part of this industry. And it's, you said earlier, I've been in this business for 20 years, and why do I stick around? And it's for that reason. It's full of just good people who are willing to share their time and their energies and their efforts.
Right.
There's so many great programs out there. Quilts of Valor is a huge one. People making quilts for soldiers returning home from the field. There are so many programs like that. People making pillows and pillowcases for children that are in the hospital.
Right.
This is the kind of folks that are buying our products and using them.
What a rewarding way to make a living, man. I think that's fantastic.
It is. Yeah, I really love it. Enjoyed it.
And what a gift for you to be able to, as being young and getting involved in a company. I mean, when you first started, you probably didn't see this kind of a finish for yourself, but
Not at all.
right? And then this company invested in you and really supported you, and now you're helping them take their business to the next level. That's really a great story, just about business and kind of the American dream.
Yeah, I was pretty fortuitous. I went to work for the company in the warehouse, and a family member of mine had gotten me the job. And within about a year, she left the company. Their division split off, but there was a technology division that we were actually selling software at the time for digitizing for embroidery. And I thought, man, that's the track I want to take.
Right.
And they had this great laser cutting department they were selling these lasers to cut fabric. And I thought, man, I want to do that. And I was doing that in the evenings. And they're out of business now. And so it was really fortuitous that I got to stay where I was and get hooked up with this side of the business.
Yeah.
So, it's funny how those things happen in your life, and you just happen to be in the right place at the right time, and it just works out.
All right, so let's make sure that our retailers and anyone else in this ecosystem, including the Mackinson girls, Charlotte, Holly, Sandy, and Mary, and Susan, all know how to get in touch with you and learn more about your work.
They can reach me by email. My email address is jason.prater@sulky.com, and that's jason.prater@sulky.com. They can also come on out to the trade event. This is actually a cash and carry event where local retailers can go and buy product to bring home to their stores. It's happening in Nashville. Coming up February the 15th, 14th, 15th.
Oh, okay. This is coming up pretty soon.
So it's coming up really, really soon.
All right. Well, let's talk just a little bit more about that before we leave the segment, because I want to make sure our listeners know.
This is for retailers. This is a trade one.
This is a
isn't
wholesale event.
All right. So a lot of them do know already, but just in case.
That's correct. A lot of them do know, but a lot of them don't. It's happening at the Embassy Suites just outside of Nashville.
Okay.
Beginning on February the 14th and going through that weekend. Ends on Sunday afternoon, and then
your team will be there.
We'll be there. It's an interesting show. Like I said, this is a regional event for them. This organization has 4 trade events every year, and they just wrapped up a big one out in San Diego where they were in a large convention center. But they do these regional cash and carry events as well to service those retailers who can't afford to travel
across
San Diego across the country.
Right,
so
but they can drive a few hours and then stock up for how long? What do they stock up for, a quarter or a year?
It's all over the place. It
really?
Depends on, this business is the independent retailer. You'll see everything from the hobbyist who wanted to turn their hobby into a business to a real savvy business person who has 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 locations really making an impact with it. So it's all over the place. So it's really primarily a place to show them new things. And it's a place for us as vendors at those shows to meet designers, because those guys are the influencers in this business.
Right.
If you can get designers that make the patterns for people to do, suggesting your products, you've got a real leg up.
That's the way to do it, man. And they're all out there saying, take your Sulky 103BJ/4 or whatever.
Right. This design looks really good with Sulky. It looks okay with the other guys, but with Sulky.
Consumers are funny. They're not all creative. So when they see a pattern, a lot of times they want to know exactly how to do it. So they want by color, by number, by everything. How did you do this? As opposed to, that's a green. I've got a green in my stash.
Yeah, so I'll just use that. Right.
No, they want to know exactly. So when you can get that listed, in fact, we have a program for doing that, where we
help them.
we financially
Serendipity.
contribute to the designer for listing those things. So,
Wow.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the studio, man. This has been a lot of fun and very informative, and I'm going to be a hero for a little while at home when I tell them about having this conversation with you.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me to come out. I really appreciate it.
All right, Lee Cantor for Stone Payton. We will see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio.